Well, a very good evening, everybody, particularly to our Canadian cruisers. It's their National Day today, and that indeed was the national anthem for Canada. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286. Patricia and David with you on a very nasty evening here at Gulf Harbour. It was so lovely to see the pictures. I always choose the anthem, apart from the singing and the sound and the music. This one had magnificent pictures and sort of matched to the words of some of the fantastic scenery in Canada. But to tell you what, you wouldn't be taking any pictures outside our window at the moment. We had a dry day up until about almost 3 o'clock, and now it's windy from the north, raining, 16 degrees, which we cannot complain about because it's a lot worse with snow further south. But anyway, 16 degrees here with a plunging barometer 1009.5. So it's a good night to be in front of the fire, that's for sure. Just a little bit of news. We got an amazing WhatsApp today from Zoomax. They were in Whakarava with, I might add, 40 boats. This is French Polynesia, Whakarava. But there was a reason for being there with a lot of boats, in that there was a full moon last week, and at the full moon in Whakarava in June, all of the groupers, or gropers as some people would say, come to spawn. And Paolo got in the water with his camera, and the most amazing pictures of just hundreds and hundreds of grouper just floating around, weren't at all concerned with his presence, nor the black-tipped sharks that were above them. We didn't hear that there was an attack, but it was just an amazing sight. So, but a lot of boats, and they sent another picture later from another anchorage in the Tuamotu's there, and boy, there are a lot of boats on their way west. So the other bit of news, maybe she will be on, I'll give a call in a moment. Iron Maiden and crew are on a buoy now by the look of it in Port Vila. I was very pleased to see them at the bottom of Efate this morning when I woke up. So we will then, after Iron Maiden, call in Alula, Rubicon, Narida, and then Bellina. So let's get started. Iron Maiden, are you on frequency, Margaret? No, nothing heard there. I think they're about an hour behind us from memory. Can't be specific on that one, but I think they are an hour behind, so maybe they're still doing stuff. Okay, let's go to Jimmy and Gemma on Alula. And by the way, we have Barry on Mackay listening to you every night from Imperial Beach in Southern California. He thinks the radio sounds fantastic, and he's keeping track of you. Actually, there was a bit more news from Barry because evidently I did mention to you the rather sad performance from President Biden in the first political debate. And evidently he's ensconced at Camp David with his family at the moment, so maybe there will be some decision making and hard talking and decision making going on there at Camp David. Okay, Alula, Gulf Harbour.
Gulf Harbour, this is Alula. How copy?
Well, very good copy. Barry will be pleased again tonight. Over.
Oh, fantastic. I'll have to say good afternoon to you, Patricia, and Barry, and also Patrick, over.
Yes, well, it will be fairly good evening, wouldn't it, for Barry? It will still be yesterday evening, but yes, I'm sure they're pleased to hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so Alula's position is 27 degrees 4 to south, 178 degrees 5 6 east. Our heading is 30 degrees true. We are doing a speed of 4.5 knots under the motor. Our wind speed is about 6 knots from the north. We have a swell about 1 metre from the east with a cloud cover of 20%. And our bar is 1014, over.
Okay, well, it's a much nicer day up there than it is here. Alula are at 2742 south, 17856 east on a course of 030 true, 4.5 knots motor sailing, 6 knots of north wind, 1 metre easterly swell, only 20% cloud cover, and 1014 on the bar. So he didn't mention any fish. I'm sure he would have if he'd caught something. It's a bit slow for catching fish, isn't it? 4.5 knots. But anyway, I'm going to pass the microphone. Stand by.
I don't have anything from him.
Oh, well, David just said he doesn't have anything for Alula. But that's well, you can have a look. 27. I thought you were covering the boats on passage. Sorry about that. But yeah, you seem to be going well. The motor probably has been on all day, has it, Jimmy?
Yes, the motor has been on all day since about 4 a.m. this morning. So yeah, a bit slow going for us. We had a funny one this morning. We woke up and there was what I thought ink all over the deck. Turns out it may have been a big fish that had jumped on board and got away from us. It was all up the sails, literally all over the deck, like black ink. But there was fish scales as well, so we're not too sure what happened there, but that was our kind of our event for the day.
Well, it sounds like a fish was chasing a squid, which jumped on poor old Alula to be hopefully safe, but clearly not.
The squids will fly.
The squids will fly off it again, but there was scales there as well. So, oh well, that was a bit of a mess. It takes a bit of getting squid ink off the. Have you got wooden decks over?
No, we don't. No, but it still took me a few hours to clean it all up over.
Oh God, yeah, it would be a bit of a mess. All right, stand by. Oh.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that, Jimmy, but anyway, taking a look at where you might be tomorrow, about lunchtime, looking around 12 o'clock, and, well, not much wind and not a particularly great direction. I think we talked about that yesterday, but northerlies about maybe 12, maybe get up to 15. It's possible they can get up to 15. God, you only have, what do you have, 6 knots now out of the north. Well, it'll be the same direction, but I think a little bit more wind. The shape of the isobars is what the problem is. The high is off to the east, and you're just about at the axis of the ridge that are part of this high. And so if the isobars are correct in terms of what the models are putting out, the wind could be anywhere from just due north to north-northeast to I don't think you would see any north-northwest in it, but I'd say anywhere between north and north-northeast. And that's tomorrow, like I said, at about lunchtime, and we'll take a look at the following day. Hardly any difference, I'm afraid, about 12, 13 knots still out of the north, and I want to see where that low is. Just a minute here. Yeah, well, there's a prefrontal trough. There's a cold front that is about over New Zealand, and it's going to be heading to the northeast. It runs from northwest to southeast, but it's moving in the direction of northeast. In front of that is what I call a prefrontal trough, and looking at Wednesday, it's just to the south of you, and let's see what happens on Thursday, if it catches up to you or not. It does, I think. So, looks like Thursday it will catch up, and it looks like it's going to combine with the frontal band itself. not anything dramatic from what I could see. The good news, though, is there will definitely be a wind shift, and depending upon where you are on Thursday, it looks like the winds are going to be maybe west to west northwest. Um, if it is moving faster than what I think it's doing, then the other side of this trough is going to be pretty much south to west southwest. So you can see how that's going to happen. So we've got basically the isobars. Well, the isobars are going to be running almost northwest to southeast. But yeah, that's pretty much what I see for you. Not a whole lot of wind in any of this. Fair amount of showers, though, possibly for Thursday. So that may be welcome. I don't know. So that's what I see for the next few days. Over.
Thank you very much, David. Hopefully we will check into Minerva for a few minor repairs to our mainsail. And as for the showers, we both probably need one. Yeah, that's all good. And those, that's kind of a bit more wind tomorrow would be nice so we can actually sail. As you know, flogging sails aren't very nice. They drive me mad over.
Yeah, that's right. What's your ETA for Minerva? I know it's hard to calculate with motor sailing and no sailing and whatever, but do you have a rough ETA for Minerva? Over.
Yeah, very rough ETA. Could be Thursday morning over.
Tuesday morning.
Oh, okay. Thursday the 4th. Okay. Hold on here. I'm going to take one look at what happens there. You're going to be moving pretty quick then, so you'll have that engine on, I guess. And I hope I wrote your lat long correctly.
27, 178.
27, almost 28, and 17, almost 179. So just about at the date line. 27. So you've got 3 degrees to go. So
It's only Monday.
180. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, you'd be there. Well, you're going to be dogged by this prefrontal trough and frontal band. But looking at Thursday at Minerva itself, I assume North Minerva. I'll just say North Minerva. Light showers. Wind, though, looks to be northwest. And maybe about 8 to 10 knots. So nothing very strong. Like I say, the isobars are fairly wide apart at that point in time. So yeah, that's what it looks like. So if you do arrive Thursday, say lunchtime, northwest winds 8 to 10, and very, very light showers, the heavy rain is off to the northwest, but that is not going to bother you. And just for the fun of it, let's take a look at
Wednesday.
Friday after you get there. Well, the prefrontal band and the front all come together into one large system well past you, so you do not have to worry about it whatsoever. Winds on Friday the 5th, look like southwest winds, so that'll be perfect for Minerva. And the wind strength is probably going to be about 15 knots. Check a few models here. Yeah, we could see up to 20 northwest though. And let me check a 4th model a little bit later. Yeah, well, it's they're not really in agreement with the strength of the wind, but they are all in agreement on the direction, which is southwest. So we'll just say 10 to 20. I'll pretend I'm Fiji Met Service. So anyway, that's the... Sorry about that, Fiji Met Service, but they do like to give fairly broad bands of conditions. So there you go. Any questions? Totally confused? Whatever. Over.
No, perfect. That's amazing. We very much appreciate that. Yeah, we're just hoping for some kind of wind so that we can sail, so we don't burn all our diesel before we get to Fiji over.
Yeah, oh well, there's nothing like replacing it with when the bank balance allows. So actually we're going to be filling up cars here this week because the 10 cents a litre fuel tax that's been on in Auckland is now off as of July 1. So it's actually cheaper here. All right, David wants the microphone.
Yeah, Jimmy, this is for you and virtually everybody else that is within listening distance, I guess I could say. I've been looking at the blocking forecasts, and there is a very, very big block that is starting up probably tomorrow, and it's going to initially form in the Bight of Australia, and we're looking at about 1040 to 1044, 1040 or 1044. So a very, very huge mountain of air. Now it's very slowly going to move to the east. So I'm just jumping around and I'm looking at the 7th, the 7th of July, and that hasn't moved hardly any more past Tasmania, almost on the top of Tasmania on that date, and it ridges right out toward Minerva. But the only problem with that is it's meeting up with the other blocking high that happens to be just to the south of French Polynesia. So those two highs are going to clash. So the high to the east is going to be bringing east to northeast winds, and the big other blocking high that's to the west of you is going to be around the Minerva area. It looks like southerly winds to maybe south, well, it's hard to say, southeast maybe. So, and it looks like there may be another front that's going to be in between the two, which you would expect. So I'm just looking at your trip, or anybody's trip, from there to Fiji, and I think once that goes through, once that high to the east drifts east, and that blocking high to the west continues to move slowly east, then we're going to be seeing some very nice trade winds. And looking as an example on the 9th, and this is pretty far out to really give you any decent information, but we'd be looking at southeast winds. And that would be wonderful directions, of course, to get to Fiji, or anybody that's wanting to go to Vanuatu. So, yeah, interesting weather situation. The MJO, as I mentioned, I think yesterday, is active, but it's going to affect, I would say, everything from the equator down to probably, I would say, about 18 south, 17, 18 south. And that's where you'll see convective activity and so forth, but not really further south than that. So that's what our MJO is going to bring us. So those of you that are north, those of you that are in northern Fiji, or up in Samoa, or northern Vanuatu perhaps, you will have the effect of the MJO at that point in time. So that's weather in the tropics. This is pretty normal. And again, this MJO is a 40 to 60 day oscillation around the world. So it just keeps revolving, just keeps going around and around, and bringing with it convective weather. So that's our turn. Our turn is this week and next week. So yeah, that's it. Pass it over to the chief.
And weather related, whilst David was talking, an alert came through on the iPad to say that high seas have disrupted the Cook Strait ferries. Apart from the fact that the snow has delighted skiers, there's an active front here bringing heavy rain and gales, and the ferries, well, I should say ferry because there's only one still operating at the moment. The ferry has been cancelled from tomorrow night through to Thursday because of the 4 to 6 metre swells in Cook Strait. Boy, I wouldn't want to be on the ferry in Cook Strait. I don't particularly like that trip anyway, but 4 to 6 metre swells would certainly put you off, wouldn't it? Okay, we'll clear with Alula, who have probably, they might still be there. But anyway, we'll go to Rubicon, who are actually not too far behind. So Rubicon, Gulf Harbour.
Rubicon, how copy?
Yeah, nice copy, Elizabeth. And I was just looking at where you are because I've got just a recent satellite pass for you guys. You're pretty much on the same latitude as Sweet As and Danella, who left from Okua. Go ahead anyway.
Roger that. Rubicon is at 2822 south, 17939 west. We're traveling
West.
at 4.5 knots. Our course is 010. The boat speed is about 4.5 knots. The wind here is north-north, about 6.5 knots, 7 knots. T6 is 1 meter, cloud 75 to 85%, okay?
Yeah, I have got all of that. Rubicon is at 2822 south, 17939 west, on a course of 010 true at 4.5 knots. 6 to 7 knots of, I think it was north-northeast. It just took a bit of a dive there, but I think that looks about right. 1 metre swell, 75% cloud cover. It's interesting, isn't it, that you're only less than a degree. Oh no, you're not. You're a couple of degrees further east of Alula. And it still looks pretty nice compared to what we're looking at outside the window, apart from the fact that you probably want a bit more wind. Just stand by. David's got some weather info for you.
Yeah, good evening. And yes, your weather is going to be pretty similar to what we were talking about with Alula. And so anyhow, tomorrow, which you were questioning on an email, looking at, say, around 26, looking at about 26 south, moving you up to that point. Winds look like northerly, just like Alula. Give or take on that north, could go either way of that direction by a degree or two. All of the models agree on that direction. As far as wind speed goes, they vary a bit on that, but not by much. So there's not much wind, not much at all. So what's going to happen on Tuesday for you is that as the day goes by, evening takes over, the wind is slowly going to veer overnight on Tuesday night, so that by Wednesday you should be at Minerva by about lunchtime if you maintain your speeds, I think. So you'll be looking at probably northeast winds for Minerva on Wednesday. Again, about 10 knots and relatively clear. I would say fine weather. There's always the chance for showers. And of course, as we talked about with Alula, we're being dogged by this prefrontal trough and cold front, which is just to the south. I'm looking at satellite imagery right now, and the edge of that is all about 30 south, maybe 31 south. That's the edge of that front as it slowly tries to head toward Fiji. So that's the story for a couple of days. So hopefully you'll be in on Wednesday. Does that sound about right? Over?
Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, depends on the wind. We're metering our fuel as well.
Yeah, okay. Fine. Alrighty. Well, we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Over.
Thank you so much for all that info, both of you guys. Have a great night. Rubicon standing by.
Okay, yeah, it's using a bit more fuel than you would have hoped, I'm sure. Okay, going a little bit further south to Narida, Gulf Harbour.
Gulf Harbour, Narida, how copy?
Yeah, very nice copy. Gosh, we've had it really good the last few days, haven't we? So good that you took off to escape the weather we've got now. Jean, go ahead with your position.
Okay, position now is 28 degrees, 59 minutes south.
What?
176 degrees, 50 minutes east. We're on a course of 0452 at 5.05.3 knots. It's varying between 4.5 and 5 knots. It's put at 5.0. Winds are from the north-northwest at about 8 knots. There's still a big swell from the southeast, still about 1.5 meters. Interesting. But there's a bit of a chop from the wind direction now from the northwest as well. Cloud cover 80%, and the barometer is slowly going down. It's now at 1021. Over.
Okay, I have got Narida at 28 degrees 29 south, 17806 east, on a course of 005 true at about 5 knots. Sorry, I've just cancelled that. I've looked at the one that I have just written down for Sweet As. We will start that again. 2859 south, 17650 east, on a course of 045 true at 5 knots, and north-northwest about 8, 1.5 metres swell, 80% cloud cover, and the barometer slowly dropping 1021. And I presume you heard all of the discussion. It's certainly fairly mild out there. Over.
Sorry, say your last comment again. Over.
Yeah, it's a very mild weather condition that you've got at the moment. Over.
Yeah, it's been very, very frustrating. I motored quite hard overnight, and then I checked my fuel, and so of course my consumption's gone up, so I've been saving since morning. But it's been up and down. I mean, I've been down to 2 knots some of the day. Really frustrating, but very carefully not getting on the motor. Anyway, but now we're making reasonable speed and a reasonable direction. Over.
Yeah, you're doing pretty well considering it's only about 8 knots at the most probably. So, yep, you'll just have to grin and bear it, I guess. Have you got any further comments, David? No? Oh, hang on, I'll pass the mic.
No, not too much. I see the prefrontal trough is pretty much over you, or will be over you by tomorrow around lunchtime. Not a whole lot in it at all. There'll be some showers, of course. That's why it's a trough. And the winds are going to remain about northwest, not much in it at all. The main frontal band tomorrow is going to be right over Norfolk Island. So if you draw a line from, say, Hervey Bay in Australia through Norfolk Island to maybe the Chatham Islands, that is about the axis of the front. And it's, of course, heading up toward your way. but that's not going to happen tomorrow. And let's just see how quickly it gets up to you. Well, it's going to head up your way. It's really hard to tell how fast it's going to move. The models are in disagreement with that. So we'll see where you happen to be tomorrow and where that happens to be. But anyway, a fair amount of activity in it. So you definitely will get wet as it moves up into your direction. But just when it is, I'm not so sure at this point. So we'll know more tomorrow. And that's about all I can think of. Over.
Okay, thanks a lot, David. That's always nice to hear what you have to say there. Over.
Yep, well, let's sort of see if we can't conjure up a little bit more wind. It would be nice, wouldn't it? Okay, and whilst David was talking, we had a message from Zoomax, who had given us the what they'd put on YouTube with those grouper spawning in June, and I asked about the sharks, because there were a lot of sharks there, as to did they have a good feed. Well, evidently yes, they did. They had a big party with all of those grouper there, so hopefully the grouper did their spawning thing before they ended up as shark food. Okay, we'll clear with Narida, and I'm just also looking at, I think David's going to comment on the passage from Niafu to Savu Savu, but before he does that, Benno, Belina, are you on frequency? Over?
Yeah, good Harbour Radio. This is Belina. How copy?
Good copy.
Very good copy, as usual. Amazing radio. Very good propagation on top of that. I hope things are going well with you. I was looking at what your weather's going to do for the next couple of days, and I just jumped a few days. I'm looking all the way over to Saturday. Don't ask me why I decided to do that, but the winds look like north to northeast, about 1.5 knots. And the reason I mentioned Saturday is by Saturday evening into Sunday, there is a frontal band, and that's the pesky front that's bothering New Zealand at the moment, and the ferry and Cook Strait and all that sort of thing, and the one that's going to be over Norfolk in another day or so, but slowly working its way up to you. So I think that will probably happen about then, late Saturday into Sunday. When that finally passes you, the winds will shift probably to the southeast. You would think southwest, but no, it looks like it'll be southeast, I think. So this would be later on Sunday. But now this can change. This is quite a few days distant, and the models are just an idea anyway, but we'll see how it goes at that point. I'm not sure how much longer you're going to stay in Beveridge, being the king, the king of Beveridge Reef. Over.
Yeah, thank you very much, David, for the information. We plan to leave the day after tomorrow and heading to Niue. And depends on this frontal band and the conditions, we might continue to Tonga. Over.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that tomorrow. So you're going to head to Niue on Wednesday, hopefully. So we'll make some more comments on that.
Okay.
Just as well, you've got the radio. I was just reading Vicky's, ICA Vicky's, that is, latest email, and she says that Tonga have experienced a loss of internet over the weekend, and that included mobile and landline phones. Evidently, there was a submarine cable fault, and that was between Tongatapu and the Hapais and the Vavau, so it affected the whole area. So apart from the fact you've got VHF and Starlink, the rest of it was a little bit not working at all. It's partially up and running again now, I believe, but anybody listening might want to comment on that. Okay, did you have any comments on going from Tonga to Savu Savu? It's pretty straightforward as long as the trades are there. I'll just pass the microphone. I know Carrera looking at departing tomorrow. And there's a few on the way today. Here's David.
I did look at that, and the weather tomorrow at about lunchtime, I see easterly winds about 20 knots, 20 knots, and that's at about 18 south and 177 west. Then on Wednesday, when you should be in Savu Savu by then, or whoever it is that leaves tomorrow, east to east southeast winds, it looks like to me, about 16, 15, 16, yeah, about 16 to 20 knots, I would say, and light showers. In fact, both tomorrow and Wednesday, I would estimate light showers. And the Met Service, from Fiji talk about moderate to rough seas, southeast winds 15 to 20. So that pretty much coincides with the models that I'm looking at. And I'm looking at four models on this. So that's the story for getting to Savu Savu. Plenty of wind, pretty good direction, just a little bit damp.
And a bit bumpy by the sound of it. All right. Is there anybody wanting to get any clarification on anything or add something? Oh, the radio is now open. Anybody out there?
Harbour, Elijah.
Go ahead, Jen.
Hi, so can you give me the time and frequency for Tony's please, over?
For what?
I don't know.
Sorry, time and frequency for Tony's net, I think you said. Yes. 2100 UTC, which if you're still on New Zealand time is 9 o'clock. I happen to be net control tomorrow, so it will be 9 o'clock tomorrow on 14315 upper sideband. Over.
Okay, roger that. Okay, I was a little bit early this morning. I'm on fire with some people. Okay, fantastic. Thanks a lot.
Yep, cheers. Is there anybody else with anything?
Awesome. I've got a lot of friends up in Canada, and this is the Pakistani today as well. Pretty big for them, over.
Yeah. Boy, that what I was looking at, it is such a scenic country, isn't it? Spectacular scenery. Okay, well, if I don't hear anybody else, I will wish all the Canadians especially a very good evening, and we'll be back again tomorrow. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, and we are clear if you want the frequency.
Hi, this is Alula. Are you on frequency, over?
Mm-hmm. Well,
hang on a minute, I shall play something for you.
I put my computer to sleep